What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the P-Bandai high-grade Aqua-Hambrabi II from Advance of Zeta Reboot. Functioning as G-parts attachments like the Reboot II, it grants reinforced underwater capabilities to whichever mobile suit it is docked with, improving their aquatic, mobility, and combat power. For support units, being composed of 11 runners, a Sprutus base, 2 wires, and 2 sticker sheets is indeed a hefty amount of content. The build itself is just as involved as well, with a ton of different modules to assemble, adding to the process despite being simple individually. Of course, this being based on the Reboot II doesn't really help my case despite the largely unique build, while the nut marks on the red and grey pieces are a bit annoying to deal with. Otherwise, it's just a very involved support unit that would take just as long to put together as a standard high-grade kit. Once put together, you'll be presented with a pretty peculiar craft that is the Aqua-Hambrabi II. First of all, it has everything to assemble it in its support craft mode, which is always nice unlike the Reboot II. And secondly, while it looks nothing like the original Hambrabi, it still has some shell presence thanks to its bulk and heft. The high parts count isn't just for show either, as the color separation is fantastically done, with stickers covering for the sensors on the booster pod, the chevron on the phallic subarm, and the white venting detail on the binders and the white fin on the tail, which look decent when applied correctly. Though from a closer look, details like the white vents of the subarms and the grey for the micro torpedoes and the large torpedo inside the opening torpedo base need to be painted for full accuracy. Proportions and color choices are generally bang on, and visual blemishes like seam lines are pretty much non-existent. So apart from an optional panel lining job, the Aqua-Hambrabi II is pretty much set for display, with joints at the drum frame, pods, and subarms allowing you to adjust the support units for some expression and utility. And the hand anchors on the composite pods can be flipped out and deployed with a set of adapters connected to a wire, with the claw itself possessing some dexterity as well, which is pretty neat. Now comes the part I'm not looking forward to, the combinations, starting with the Aqua Barzam. Essentially, you remove the face, the chest armor, and the back skirt of the Barzam, on top of the hover units of the Rezion version, disassemble the Aqua-Hambrabi II completely, set aside the connective adapters and the Primrose II, then combine the parts into a whole new form with the help of a pile of new parts and adapters, as well as reconfiguration of the support parts. Essentially, what's happening here is that on top of the equipment of the new armor, a new frame piece for the mobile suits is sandwiched into the extra drum frame with the booster pod, phallic subarm, and tail. The hydrojet boosters are mounted onto the extended composite pods and crotch, while the subarms are reconfigured to hold the shield boosters differently. It's not exactly tricky to execute, but just ridiculously tedious to do so, and extra confusing without the instructions since you only get either those for the Barzam or the Woundwort based on the version of the Aqua-Hambrabi you bought. Once that is done, however, you will be presented with the high-grade Aqua Barzam. Mismatched presentation aside, the Aqua Barzam looks extremely cumbersome. The Aqua G parts adds a lot of extra chunk to the Barzam thanks to the composite pods, and the extra mask gives it some menace to complement the bulkier silhouette, even better for the illusion of a moving mono-eye when shown out with a UV light and rotating the head. White stickers are used on the chest armor to give us some accents, but besides the mismatch in colors from having the incorrect set, the Aqua Barzam seems relatively accurate compared to the line art, and the extra bulk does suit it in a way. Though despite the kit's stability minus the top mounted hydrojet boosters, it's fairly top heavy, so I will recommend a strong action base for prolonged display. Apart from the hand anchors and underwater shield boosters with integrated torpedo base, the Barzam is equipped with the Bahron rifle with an included custom hand part. It's basically the Fedayeen rifle modified for underwater use with 4 harpoons attached to it, that are unfortunately not separate from the rifle. The stock pieces can adjust if you wish, and the beam saber feature is somewhat carried over, albeit with no included beams to display that feature. As for the Aqua Woundwort, it conceptually shares the same combination process as the Aqua Barzam, except with slight variations to the parts and adapters that are used and unused. The extra drum frame connects the custom frame piece where both booster parts attached to, and the central module pieces together, while the same steps are carried out for the composite pods and subarms as the Aqua Barzam configuration, except with different adapters, setting aside the rifle, and extra torpedoes attached onto the underwater shield boosters. Once that is done, you will have the Gundam TR6 Aqua Woundwort in mobile suit mode. Realistically speaking, it does not matter whether you use the Psycho Blade or Black Hair's version of the Woundwort in mobile suit mode, as most of the mods are for the butt and crotch. Regardless, the Aqua Woundwort is the definition of a nightmare, as the Aqua G parts looks quite overbearing on the TR6, with the core unit looking quite claustrophobic with the additional parts, and just like the Aqua Barzam, it looks and feels quite top heavy. So on top of the silly looks not really fitting with the Woundwort, a stand is mandatory in order to display it. The looks are one thing, but the extra parts don't add much to the unit either. The Aqua Woundwort is stuck with its composite shield booster, underwater shield boosters with torpedoes, and the hand anchors in terms of weapons, but you can choose to equip it with the Bahrun rifle as well. In the end, everything the Aqua G parts achieves besides aesthetics is all intangible, while the kit becomes even more unwieldy to pose and handle as a result of the big weapons and chunks mounted onto such a skinny frame, confirming my worries for this configuration. Finally, the Aqua Woundwort can be transformed into its mobile armor mode, but with different adapters and a replacement leg connector that connects into the drum frame. From there, extended arm pieces lock everything into place before the legs are reattached with the hydro jet boosters attached with adapters. And the collapsed composite pods and subarms stick onto the adapter arms to complete the transformation. The end result looks exactly like if the Aqua-Hambrabi II was stuck up the Woundwort's rear end. And as ham-fisted as it looks, it does evoke a sense that it's a heavy artillery underwater submersible, and enhances the Woundwort's profile by a lot. Of course, the torpedo base and hand anchors are all at its disposal, where you can choose to mount the composite shield booster on the phallic subarm as well. Fortunately, this form of the Aqua Woundwort is generally solid. Unfortunately, the stand adapter was not meant to take that much weight, so the kit will topple over more often than not, especially if you pose the kit extensively on the stand in mobile suit mode. Leftovers come in the form of frame parts from the Hoodoo 2, including a bunch of support arms and adapters from said kit. Granted, it's not much for an Advanced of Zeta kit, but I seriously didn't need more Hoodoo 2 adapters in my stash. Now that it's time to sum up my thoughts, I find that the high-grade Aqua-Hambrabi II is a tricky one to conclude on. By itself, it's a G-part set that looks interesting enough, has everything included in the package to display it in its support mode, and helps expand your aquatic gunpla arsenal. But the real question lies in what you want these parts for, and that alone changes my outlook dramatically. If you're buying it for the Aqua Barzam, you are gonna have a moderately good time with a kit that has an improved menacing presence with great stability, if not a bit tricky to pose. On the contrary, if you're in it for the Aqua Woundwort, you get a claustrophobic kit that runs into stability issues constantly, no matter the mode you build it into. That goes without saying that the hydro jet boosters don't mount onto the top of the composite pods the best, and the conversion process is no less tedious than a Creo transformer figure, so it is best to build it in the mode you desire to lessen the trouble. Altogether, the standalone unit is debatably worth the 2800 yen investment by itself, but it's the kits that you use it on that increases or diminishes its display and play value. And that's all for me. Thank you for watching, drop a like and comment if you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more content like this, and feel free to follow me on social media with the links down below. That said, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out guys, bye bye.